I do. Those two little words sealed my fate. If only I'd known then what I know now. The late afternoon sun streamed through the courthouse windows as I stood beside Noah, my heart swelling with hope and love. His warm brown eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled down at me, and I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. At 37, I'd finally found my happily ever after. Or so I thought. 2 weeks later, I stood frozen in our driveway, watching Noah load suitcases into his mother's Mercedes. Our honeymoon luggage packed for a romantic getaway I'd spent months planning and most of my savings on. Noah? My voice cracked. What's going on? He turned, his expression a mix of guilt and defiance. Evelyn, I can explain. Before he could continue, his mother Phyllis emerged from the house, designer sunglasses perched on her nose. Noah, darling, did you remember to pack my sun hat? I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. You're taking your mother on our honeymoon? Noah's eyes darted between us. Evelyn, please understand. Mom's been looking forward to this trip for months. I couldn't disappoint her. Disappoint her? I sputtered. What about disappointing your wife? Phyllis skied, patting Noah's arm. Now, dear, I'm sure Evelyn understands how important family is. Don't you, Evelyn? I stared at her, speechless. This woman, who'd shown nothing but thinly veiled disdain for me since the day we met, was now stealing my honeymoon? Noah, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. Can we talk privately for a moment? He hesitated, glancing at his mother. Go on, sweetheart, Phyllis cooed. I'll finish packing the car. I grabbed Noah's arm and pulled him inside, slamming the front door behind us. What the hell is going on? I hissed. He had the decency to look ashamed. I'm sorry, Evelyn. I know this isn't what we planned, but Mom's been so lonely since Dad left. She needs this vacation. And I need a husband who puts his wife first, I shot back. Do you have any idea how this makes me feel? Noah ran a hand through his hair. I know, but it's just one trip. We can go on our own honeymoon later, I promise. I laughed bitterly. Later? Noah, this was supposed to be our time, our start as a married couple, and you're choosing your mother over me? I'm not choosing anyone, he protested weakly. I'm just trying to make everyone happy. Well, congratulations, I spat. You've succeeded in making me completely miserable. A car horn blared outside. Noah jumped. I have to go. We'll talk when I get back, okay? Before I could respond, he was out the door. I followed, watching in disbelief. He climbed into the passenger seat beside Phyllis. As they backed out of the driveway, Phyllis lowered her window. Don't worry, dear, she called, her voice sickeningly sweet. I'll take good care of your husband. The Mercedes disappeared around the corner, leaving me standing alone in the driveway, my world crumbling around me. I stumbled back inside, collapsing onto the couch. How had this happened? How had my dream wedding turned into such a nightmare? As the shock wore off, a new emotion began to simmer in my chest. Rage. Pure, white-hot rage. Noah might think he could walk all over me, but he was about to learn a painful lesson. I grabbed my phone, my fingers shaking as I dialed. Hello, is this Sunset Travel Agency? I need to make some changes to a reservation. If Noah thought he could have his cake and eat it too, he had another thing coming. Two could play at this game, and I was just getting started. I paced the living room, my mind reeling. How had I ended up here? Just 6 months ago, I was Dr. Evelyn Harper, respected school psychologist, content with my career and independence. Now, I was a jilted bride, abandoned on my honeymoon for my mother-in-law. The phone rang, jarring me from my thoughts. It was my best friend, Lisa. Evelyn, what's going on? I just got the strangest call from Noah's cousin. I sank onto the couch. Oh, Lisa, it's a disaster. Noah left for our honeymoon with Phyllis. What? Lisa's voice rose an octave. His mother? Please tell me you're joking. I wish I was, I said, fighting back tears. I don't know what to do. Start from the beginning, Lisa urged. How did this happen? I closed my eyes, remembering the night that had changed everything. Remember that alumni mixer last fall? The one you dragged me to? Of course, Lisa said. You met Noah there. He seemed so perfect, I said softly. Charming, attentive, successful. When he asked for my number, I thought, this is it. This is my chance at happiness. I stood up, moving to the window. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet, peaceful, so different from the turmoil inside me. We started dating, and everything moved so fast. He was always calling, always wanting to spend time together. I felt cherished. But, Lisa prompted, I sighed. But there were signs. Little things I ignored because I wanted so badly for it to work out. Like what? Like how he'd cancel plans at the last minute because his mother needed him, or how he'd consult her on every decision, big or small. I remembered our first big fight, just a month into dating. We'd planned a weekend getaway, but Noah had bailed to help Phyllis redecorate her guest room. I confronted him about it, I told Lisa. He got defensive, said I was being selfish, that family should come first. "Oh, Evelyn," Lisa murmured. I know, I should have seen it then. But when he proposed 3 months later, I was over the moon. I thought marriage would change things." I laughed bitterly. Turns out I was right. It did change things, just not in the way I expected. "So what are you going to do?" Lisa asked. Before I could answer, my cell phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Evelyn, I'm sorry. Please understand. I'll make it up to you, I promise." Anger flared in my chest. "Make it up to me?" I hissed. "How exactly do you plan to do that, Noah?" "Evelyn?" Lisa's voice came through the landline, concerned. "What's happening?" I ignored her, furiously typing a response to Noah. "Understand what? That you chose your mother over your wife? That you stole our honeymoon? Don't bother coming back. I'll have your things packed and waiting on the porch." I hit send, my hands shaking. "Evelyn!" Lisa shouted. "Talk to me!" I picked up the landline. "I'm done, Lisa. I'm done being second best. If Noah wants his mother so badly, he can have her. I'm filing for an annulment." "Are you sure?" Lisa asked. "Maybe you should wait until—" "Wait for what?" I snapped. "For him to come back and make more empty promises? No, I'm taking control of my life again." As I said the words, a plan began to form in my mind. Noah thought he could just walk away from this. He was about to learn how wrong he was. "Lisa," I said, my voice steady for the first time since Noah had driven away. "I need your help with something." "Anything," she replied without hesitation. I smiled grimly. "How quickly can you get to the Bahamas?" As I threw clothes into my suitcase, memories of Noah's peculiar behavior flooded back. How could I have been so blind? The signs were there all along, screaming at me to pay attention. I paused, holding one of Noah's shirts. The scent of his cologne lingered, and for a moment, my resolve wavered. Then I remembered Phyllis's smug face as they drove away, and anger surged through me again. My phone buzzed. Another text from Noah. "Evelyn, please, let's talk about this when I get back." I scoffed, typing furiously. "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice." As I hit send, a knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find Sarah, Noah's sister, standing there with a concerned look on her face. "Evelyn, what's going on? I've been trying to reach Noah, but he's not answering." I laughed bitterly. "Oh, he's probably too busy enjoying his honeymoon with your mother." Sarah's eyes widened. "What? That's impossible. Noah wouldn't." "Wouldn't what?" I snapped. "Choose Phyllis over me?" "Because that's exactly what he did." I invited her in, recounting the events of the past few hours. Sarah listened, her face a mix of shock and embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, Evelyn," she said softly. "I knew Mom was overly attached to Noah, but I never thought it would go this far." "Neither did I admitted, but looking back, the signs were everywhere. I told her about the time Noah missed my birthday dinner because Phyllis had a crisis, a leaky faucet that apparently couldn't wait until morning, or the weekend he spent helping Phyllis declutter her attic instead of attending my award ceremony at work. "I remember that weekend," Sarah said, frowning. "Mom bragged about it for weeks, how Noah was such a devoted son." "And what about our engagement party?" I asked. "When Phyllis announced she was moving in with us after the wedding?" Sarah winced. "God, that was awful. I've never seen you so angry." I nodded, remembering the fight that followed. Noah had defended his mother, saying I was being selfish for not wanting to care for her in her golden years. Never mind that Phyllis was only in her early 60s and in perfect health. "I thought things would change after we got married," I said softly. "I thought he'd finally put me first." Sarah reached out, squeezing my hand. "This isn't your fault, Evelyn. Noah, he's always had a blind spot when it comes to Mom. Dad leaving hit them both hard." I froze. "Wait, what?" "Noah told me his father died when he was young." Sarah's eyes widened. "He what?" "No, Dad left when Noah was in college. Mom took it hard, leaned on Noah for everything. I guess he never really stopped trying to make up for Dad leaving." The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. All this time, I'd thought I was competing with a grieving widow, Instead, I was up against a manipulative woman who'd spent years molding her son into the perfect surrogate husband. "I can't believe he lied to me," I whispered. Sarah squeezed my hand again. "What are you going to do?" I stood up, my mind made up. "I'm going to the Bahamas, and I'm bringing reinforcements." I quickly explained my plan to Sarah. Her eyes lit up with a mix of admiration and mischief. "Count me in," she said firmly. "It's time someone stood up to Mom and knocked some sense into my idiot brother." As we finalized our plans, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Phyllis. "Evelyn, dear, I hope you understand. Noah needs me. You'll see, this is for the best." I showed the message to Sarah, who rolled her eyes. "Unbelievable." I smiled grimly. "Oh, they'll see all right. They'll see exactly what happens when you mess with Evelyn Harper." The airport bustled with activity as Sarah and I rushed to catch our flight to the Bahamas. My heart raced, a mix of anger and determination fueling my every step. "Are you sure about this, Evelyn?" Sarah asked. Concern etched on her face. I nodded firmly. "Absolutely. Your brother needs to learn he can't have his cake and eat it too." As we boarded the plane, my phone buzzed. Another message from Noah. "Evelyn, please, I know I messed up. Let me explain." I showed Sarah the text, rolling my eyes. "He still doesn't get it, does he?" Sarah sighed. "Noah's always been dense when it comes to Mom. But this is a new low, even for him." As the plane took off, I closed my eyes, remembering the day Noah and I decided on our honeymoon plans. We'd been curled up on the couch, flipping through travel brochures. "What about the Bahamas?" Noah had suggested, his eyes twinkling. White sand beaches, crystal clear water. I'd laughed, snuggling closer. "Sounds perfect, but can we afford it?" Noah had hesitated just for a moment. "Don't worry about that. I'll take care of everything." Now, I realized the hidden meaning behind those words. He'd planned this betrayal from the start. Halfway through the flight, Sarah nudged me. "Evelyn, there's something you should know." I turned to her, eyebrow raised. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "Remember how I told you Dad left when Noah was in college? Well, there's more to the story." My stomach clenched. "Go on, Dad." "He left because of Mom's obsession with Noah. He couldn't take it anymore, how she always put Noah first even before her own husband." The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. "And Noah, how did he handle it?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "He blamed himself, thought if he'd been a better son, Dad wouldn't have left. That's when things really got bad with Mom. She latched onto him even more, and he let her." I sat back, stunned. The pieces were falling into place, painting a picture of dysfunction I'd been too blind to see. As we landed in the Bahamas, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo from Phyllis. My blood boiled as I saw her and Noah, smiling on the beach that should have been my honeymoon destination. The caption read, "Having a wonderful time. Wish you were here, dear." Sarah peered over my shoulder, gasping. "Oh my God, she's completely lost it." I stood up, grabbing my bag with newfound determination. "Come on, we have work to do." We made our way to the hotel, my mind racing with plans. As we checked in, the receptionist smiled brightly. "Mrs. Harper, we've been expecting you. Your husband left a message. He said to tell you he's sorry and hopes you'll join them for dinner tonight." I froze, my hand hovering over the room key. What?" The receptionist's smile faltered. "Is everything all right, ma'am?" I forced a smile. "Yes, thank you. We'll be there." As we rode the elevator to our room, Sarah turned to me. "What are you thinking?" I met her gaze, a plan forming in my mind. "I'm thinking it's time to give Noah and Phyllis a taste of their own medicine." Sarah's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" I smiled grimly. "They want me at dinner? Fine, but I won't be coming alone." As the elevator doors opened, I pulled out my phone, dialing a number I never thought I'd use. "Hello?" A gruff voice answered. I took a deep breath. "Mr. Harper, this is Evelyn, Noah's wife. I think it's time you and your son had a little reunion." My heart pounded as I stood outside the restaurant, Sarah by my side. Through the window, I could see Noah and Phyllis laughing over cocktails. The sight made my blood boil. "Are you ready for this?" Sarah asked, squeezing my arm. I took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." We walked in, heads held high. The moment Noah saw us, his face drained of color. Phyllis, on the other hand, had the audacity to smile. "Evelyn, dear, what a lovely surprise," she cooed as if this were a casual dinner party. Noah stood up, his eyes wide with panic. "Evelyn, I can explain." I held up a hand, silencing him. "Save it, Noah. I'm not here for your excuses. Phyllis's smile faltered. Now, let's not make a scene. Why don't you join us? We can talk this out like adults. I laughed bitterly. Oh, we'll talk all right. But first, I think there's someone else who should join this little family reunion. On cue, Robert Harper walked in. Noah's father, the man who'd walked out years ago, unable to compete with his own son for his wife's affection. Noah's face went from pale to ashen. Dad? What are you doing here? Robert's eyes were hard as he looked at his son. Evelyn called me. Seems like some things never change, do they, Phyllis? Phyllis stood up so quickly her chair toppled over. Robert, you have no right to be here. I have every right, Robert growled. This is my son's honeymoon, isn't it? Oh, wait, my mistake. It's your honeymoon with our son. The restaurant had gone eerily quiet, all eyes on our table. I could feel the weight of their stares, but I didn't care. This needed to happen. Noah looked between his parents and me, his face a mask of confusion and fear. Evelyn, please. Let me explain. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Noah? I snapped. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you chose your mother over your wife. On our honeymoon, no less. Phyllis tried to interject, but Robert cut her off. Let him speak, Phyllis. For once in his life, let Noah make his own decisions. Noah's eyes darted around the table like a cornered animal looking for escape. I didn't mean for this to happen. Mom said she needed me, that she was lonely. She's always lonely, Noah. Robert interrupted. That's her M.O. She's been using that line since you were in diapers. Phyllis gasped. How dare you? I've only ever wanted what's best for my son. No, I said, my voice steady despite the anger coursing through me. You've only ever wanted what's best for you. Noah's just a pawn in your sick game. Noah's face crumpled. That's not true. Mom loves me. She's suffocating you, son, Robert said softly. Can't you see that? The tension at the table was palpable. Noah looked lost, torn between the woman who raised him and the harsh truth staring him in the face. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I had to do next. Noah, I love you, but I won't be second best in my own marriage. It's time for you to choose, really choose, your mother or me. The restaurant fell silent, all eyes on Noah. He looked at his mother, then at me, his face a battlefield of emotions. I don't know, he whispered. And in that moment, I knew. I knew what I had to do, what I should have done months ago. I slipped off my wedding ring, placing it on the table with a soft clink. Then I'll make the choice for you. Goodbye, Noah. As I turned to leave, Phyllis's voice rang out. You can't leave. Noah needs me. Us. I paused at the door, looking back one last time. No, Phyllis. The only thing Noah needs is to grow up, and he'll never do that with you around. With that, I walked out, leaving behind the man I thought I'd spend my life with and the twisted family dynamic that had torn us apart. As the warm Bahamian air hit my face, I felt something I hadn't in months. Freedom. I stormed out of the restaurant, my mind reeling. The warm Bahamian air did little to cool my anger as I paced along the beach, waves crashing at my feet. Sarah caught up to me, breathless. Evelyn, wait, what happened in there? It was intense. I laughed bitterly. Intense? That's putting it mildly. Did you see Noah's face? He couldn't even choose between his wife and his mother. Sarah nodded, her expression pained. I know. I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I never thought Noah would. Her words were cut off by a shrill voice behind us. Evelyn! Sarah! We turned to see Phyllis hurrying towards us, her designer sandals sinking into the sand. I steeled myself, ready for another confrontation. What do you want, Phyllis? I snapped. To my surprise, Phyllis's face crumpled. I need your help. It's Noah. My heart skipped a beat. What about Noah? He's gone, Phyllis said, her voice trembling. After you left, he just ran off. Robert went after him, but I felt a mix of emotions, concern, anger, and a twisted sense of satisfaction. And why should I care? He made his choice. Phyllis grabbed my arm, her eyes pleading. Please, Evelyn, I know I've been difficult, but Noah needs us, both of us. I stared at her, incredulous. Both of us? You've spent our entire relationship trying to push me out, and now you want my help? I know, Phyllis said, tears streaming down her face. I was wrong. So wrong. I see that now. Please, help me find my son. I looked at Sarah, who shrugged helplessly. Part of me wanted to walk away, to let Noah and Phyllis deal with their mess. But another part, the part that still loved Noah despite everything, couldn't bear the thought of him alone and upset. Fine, I said finally. But this doesn't change anything between us, Phyllis. We split up to search the resort. As I combed the beach, my mind raced. What would I even say to Noah if I found him? How could we move past this betrayal? After an hour of fruitless searching, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Evelyn, it's Robert. I found Noah. Meet us at the lighthouse. Hurry." My heart pounding, I raced towards the lighthouse at the end of the beach. As I approached, I saw two figures silhouetted against the setting sun, Noah and his father. Noah turned as I neared, his face a mask of anguish. "Evelyn, I held up a hand, cutting him off. "Save it, Noah. What were you thinking, running off like that?" "Your mother is worried sick." Noah flinched at the mention of Phyllis. "I couldn't face her, or you. I've made such a mess of everything." Robert placed a hand on Noah's shoulder. "Son, it's time to face the consequences of your actions. You can't keep running from difficult conversations." I watched this interaction, a realization dawning. This was the father-son relationship Noah had been missing all these years. The guidance and support Phyllis had tried to replace with her suffocating love. "Noah," I said softly, "we need to talk. Really talk. About us, about your mother, about everything." Noah nodded, his eyes meeting mine for the first time. "I know. I'm ready. I think I finally understand what I've been doing wrong all these years." Just then, Phyllis's voice rang out. "Noah! Oh, thank goodness!" She rushed towards us, arms outstretched. But before she could reach Noah, he stepped back, placing himself between me and his father. "Mom," he said, his voice firm, "we need to talk too. Things are going to change." Phyllis froze, her eyes darting between Noah, Robert, and me. I could see the realization dawning on her face. Her control was slipping away. As we stood there, the four of us facing each other with the lighthouse as our backdrop, I knew we were at a turning point. Whatever happened next would define our relationships forever. Noah took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. "I have something to say to all of you, and this time I'm not running away." The tension at the lighthouse was palpable as Noah prepared to speak. I held my breath, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. Noah took a deep breath, his eyes moving from his mother to his father, and finally resting on me. "I've been a coward," he began, his voice shaky but gaining strength. "I've let fear and misplaced loyalty dictate my life for far too long." Phyllis stepped forward, reaching for Noah's arm. "Sweetheart, you don't have to." "No, Mom," Noah said firmly, pulling away from her grasp. "I do have to. For once in my life, I need to stand up and be honest." He turned to his father. "Dad, when you left, I blamed myself. I thought if I'd been a better son, you wouldn't have gone. So I tried to be everything for Mom, to fill the void you left." Robert's face crumpled with guilt. "Son, I never meant." Noah held up a hand. "I know, Dad. I understand now. But back then, I didn't. And Mom?" He turned to Phyllis, whose face had gone pale. "You took advantage of that. You used my guilt and fear to keep me close, to make me your surrogate husband." Phyllis gasped, tears welling in her eyes. "Noah, how can you say that? I love you." "I know you do, Mom," Noah said softly. "But your love has been suffocating me. It's prevented me from growing up, from having real relationships." Then he turned to me, and I felt my heart clench. "Evelyn," he said, his voice breaking, "I've hurt you so deeply, and I'm so sorry. I married you thinking I could have it all, a wife and my mother's approval, but I was wrong. I've been unfair to you from the start." I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "Noah, But he wasn't finished. "I don't expect you to forgive me. What I've done is unforgivable. But I want you to know that I do love you, and I'm ready to be the husband you deserve, if you'll have me." The silence that followed was deafening. We all stood there, the weight of Noah's words hanging in the air. I felt torn, my anger and hurt warring with the love I still felt for him. Suddenly, Phyllis let out a strangled cry. "No, I won't let you do this, Noah. You can't abandon me." She lunged forward, grabbing Noah's arm with surprising strength. Noah stumbled, losing his balance on the rocky ground near the lighthouse. Time seemed to slow down. I saw Noah teetering on the edge of the cliff, Phyllis still clinging to him. Without thinking, I rushed forward, reaching for Noah's other hand. Our fingers brushed, and for a moment, I thought I had him. But then I felt myself being pulled forward, the ground disappearing beneath my feet. I heard shouts of alarm, felt hands grasping at my clothes. But it was too late. Noah, Phyllis, and I were falling, tumbling through the air towards the churning waves below. As the water rushed up to meet us, I had a moment of crystal clarity. This was it. This was where our twisted family drama had led us. To the edge of a cliff, literally and figuratively. The impact with the water knocked the breath from my lungs. I struggled to surface, the waves tossing me about like a rag doll. Through the spray, I caught glimpses of Noah and Phyllis also fighting against the current. As I gasped for air, I realized the true gravity of our situation. We were all in over our heads, drowning in the consequences of our actions, and now our very lives hung in the balance. In that moment, facing death, I had to make a choice. Did I have it in me to forgive, to help the very people who had hurt me so deeply, or would I let the waves of resentment pull us all under? With my strength fading, I made my decision. I just hoped it wasn't too late. The waves crashed around us, salt water burning my eyes and throat. I could barely make out Noah and Phyllis through the spray, both struggling to stay afloat. In that moment, all the anger and betrayal I'd felt seemed insignificant compared to the fight for survival. "Noah," I shouted, my voice barely audible over the roaring sea. "Grab your mother." He looked at me, confusion and fear etched on his face, but he obeyed. As he reached for Phyllis, I swam towards them, fighting against the current with every ounce of strength I had left. Just as I reached them, a massive wave hit, sending us tumbling. I felt a sharp pain in my leg as it struck something underwater. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but I forced it down. I had to focus. "Hold on to each other," I yelled, grabbing Noah's free arm. "We need to swim together." As we battled the waves, I caught glimpses of the shore. Robert and Sarah were there, waving frantically. I could see other figures too, resort staff, I assumed, coming to our rescue. It felt like hours, but it was probably only minutes before we felt the bottom beneath our feet. Exhausted, we stumbled onto the beach, collapsing onto the sand. As paramedics rushed to our aid, I looked at Noah and Phyllis. We were alive, but the real storm was yet to come. Hours later, after being checked over at the local hospital, we found ourselves back at the resort. The four of us, Noah, Phyllis, Robert, and I, sat in tense silence in our suite. Noah was the first to speak. I don't even know where to begin. "How about with an apology?" Robert suggested, his voice gruff but not unkind. Noah nodded, his eyes meeting mine. "Evelyn, I'm so sorry. For everything. You saved our lives out there, even after how terribly I've treated you." I took a deep breath. "Noah, I love you, but love isn't enough. What you did, it's not something I can just forgive and forget." Phyllis spoke up, her voice small. "It's my fault. I've been selfish. I was so afraid of losing Noah that I nearly destroyed his chance at happiness." We all stared at her, shocked by this admission. "Mom," Noah said softly, "I love you, but Dad was right. Your love has been suffocating me. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Phyllis nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. I see that now. Evelyn," she turned to me, "can you ever forgive me?" I looked at this broken woman, then at Noah, then at Robert. We'd all played a part in this mess. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I'm willing to try, if we all are." Noah reached for my hand. "I want to make this right, Evelyn. I want to be the husband you deserve. Will you give me another chance?" I hesitated. The love was still there, but so was the pain. "I need time, Noah. We need time. To heal, to rebuild trust. It won't be easy." "I understand," he said, squeezing my hand. "I'm ready to do the work, whatever it takes." Robert cleared his throat. "I think we all have work to do. As a family." Family. The word hung in the air, full of promise and challenge. As I looked around at these people, my husband, my in-laws, I realized something. We'd all been drowning in one way or another, drowning in fear, in misplaced loyalty, in resentment, but we'd also saved each other. Maybe, just maybe, we could learn to swim together. "Okay," I said finally. "Let's try. But on one condition." They all looked at me expectantly. "Our next family vacation? No beaches." For the first time in what felt like forever, we all laughed. It was a small moment, but it felt like the first ray of sunshine after a long, dark storm. As we sat there, planning our next steps, I felt a glimmer of hope. The road ahead would be tough, full of therapy sessions and difficult conversations, but we'd faced death together and survived. Perhaps we could face life too, and come out stronger on the other side. I squeezed Noah's hand, meeting his eyes. "One day at a time," I said softly. He nodded, a small smile on his face. "One day at a time."